The moment my paycheck hit the account, Sophie's messages hit my phone like a machine gun. Where the hell are you? Did you die on the way? Send me the money now. If I miss the VIP tickets for Evan Hale's concert, you better be ready to pick out a coffin. Attached was a scan of her so-called re-evaluated depression diagnosis. My chest tightened. For a second, my fingers hovered over the transfer button, ready to send the money. But right then, right at that split second, a thought slammed into me so loud and vivid it felt like someone had whispered it directly into my ear. Go ahead and send it. Once she gets it, she'll come back just to chop off your fingers, stomp on your heart and scream that you're ruining her right to be a fan. You could be dying and she wouldn't drive you to the hospital. She'd be too busy digging through your will, giddy as hell. A chill swept over me, bone deep and paralyzing. I stared at the string of insults she kept hurling through text, then clenched my teeth and slammed the transfer screen shut. And just like that, I told my lawyer to withdraw the appeal for custody of my daughter. After everything was done, I took my paycheck card and headed downtown to Luna's Bistro. I ordered the grilled steak I'd been craving for months, finally watched that movie I'd been putting off because tickets felt like a luxury, and stopped by a salon near home for a shampoo and a 30-minute massage. For the first time in years I felt like a real adult. Untethered, quiet human. But the second I opened my front door, that peace shattered. The door frame was cracked like someone had kicked it in. The living room looked like it had been hit by a tornado. My flat-screen TV, the one I'd saved for an entire year to buy, lay in pieces across the floor. Sophie stood over the wreckage, hammer in hand, slamming it again and again. The moment she saw me, her eyes flared with fury. She hurled the hammer straight at my head. Michelle Harris. You have the audacity to come back? Do you even realize what you've done? I missed front-row tickets to Evan Hale because you didn't send the money. Do you even understand what that means to me? She was shrieking so hard the floorboards shook under her feet. Her dyed purple hair whipped around like knives slicing through my chest. I'd seen this scene before. 6 months ago she had a near-identical breakdown, right there in the middle of a crowded street, because I had to attend a last-minute work meeting and couldn't drive her to a signing event. She had screamed, sobbed, collapsed to the ground. People stared. After that she started using self-harm as leverage. The second I hesitated about anything she'd grab something sharp, scissors, glass, knives, and hold it to her skin. To keep her stable I got into the habit of transferring my paycheck to her the moment it cleared. No delay. No questions. I told myself she'd mature eventually. That she'd outgrow it. He didn't. She got worse. The hammer landed at my feet. I caught it reflexively, felt the weight in my palm and dropped it with a cold thud. She paused, startled. Then something in her cracked open even wider. Her voice pierced the room. I stayed at the doorway, moving. Seeing I wasn't rushing toward her with open arms, she lunged for a shard of broken glass and dragged it across her wrist. You don't love me. You never did. You just want me dead so you can finally breathe easy. Fine. I'll give you what you want. Blood welled up, just a line. Shallow. Controlled. Enough to trigger a mother's panic, but not enough to risk anything real. I almost moved. My legs twitched to run toward her. And then that same voice in my head whispered again. Does someone truly depressed scream like that and blame everyone else? She's manipulating you. Keep babying her and you'll be planning a funeral within the week. She's an adult. Let her act like one. I froze, my eyes fixed on the cut. She'd done this before. Many times. She knew exactly how deep to go, avoiding veins, aiming for drama. It was always the same. She wanted something. I hesitated. She performed. Then as soon as the money hit her account, she'd be off again, flying to LA or Seattle to chase after her beloved celebrity tour. Meanwhile, I'd be pulling double shifts delivering takeout just to make rent and keep the lights on. I used to tell myself this was love, that it was worth it, because she was my daughter. But in that moment, everything I believed in crumbled. I looked at her calmly, my voice steady like I hadn't heard my own screams echoing inside my skull for years. You're an adult now. Your choices are yours to live with. I respect that. She froze. Eyes wide. The glass slipped, nearly falling from her fingers. I didn't give her a second glance. I turned and walked to my bedroom. Behind me she screamed, Michelle, cut the act. I swear I'll move in with Dad and Brenda. You'll never see me again. In my head the voice came back, amused this time. There it is, The nuclear threat. That one always used to work. Don't bite. Don't be that mother again. I let out a dry laugh and didn't respond. Just stepped into my room and closed the door behind me. Her screams still tore through the hallway. You'll regret this. I'm going to Dad's. I'll get the court to give him full custody. You won't control a single dime of mine. And then silence. I sat on the floor of my bedroom, stunned by the quiet. Half my life had been poured into John and Sophie. Everything I had. In that marriage, John brainwashed me into believing that a woman's place was in the kitchen or living room. Nowhere else. No job. No ambition. Just service. I gave everything I had to keep that family together. Every ounce of energy, every sleepless night, every compromise. And in the end, none of it mattered. Not compared to the limited edition doll John bought Sophie on a whim. She always thought he was the cool parent. Me. I was just the useless maid in an apron. So when John filed for custody, I panicked. Those 2 weeks nearly killed me. I dropped weight like sand through fingers, racing day and night to gather court documents and scrape together money for legal fees. He offered me a deal. If I paid him $30,000, he'd sign away custody rights. Otherwise, he'd fight me to the bitter end. I believed him. And I fought. I worked 3 jobs at once. At one point, I was getting 4 fluids in the ER and still answering work emails. And my precious daughter? She was busy hopping from one concert to the next, worrying about her idol's well-being, never once checking if I was still breathing. Looking back, I was nothing but a fool. I poured my soul into this thing called motherhood, and all I got in return was humiliation and manipulation. I'm done. From this moment forward, I'm done loving the wrong people in the wrong way. I'm going to live for myself, for once. 2 hours later, Sophie posted an Instagram story. Life with Dad and Brenda is amazing. At least they know how to love family. The picture was staged, warm lighting, soft angles. The 3 of them sitting on a patch of grass, sharing a sad box of fries and a few dollar store beers. That was her idea of family? I'd spent 50 times more than that on just one of her meals. Never mind the thousands I shelled out on her obsession with pop stars. She didn't remember a second of it. Not 1 second. I quietly closed the door of my rented apartment, grabbed my suitcase and walked out. My hands didn't even shake. But inside I felt a pit forming. Because I was terrified I'd run back the moment she called. That's what mothers do, we never know how to stop. I walked out of the building, my heart a hurricane. Honestly, I didn't know if I had it in me to stick with this decision. Not even a full day passed before John called. He was fuming. Michelle, are you even a mother anymore? Sophie didn't come home all night and you haven't said a damn word. He got wasted, you hear me? She's passed out cold right now. My voice came out like ice. Didn't you say she should live with you? That you could handle her? Well, congratulations. You got your wish. Regretting it already. He went quiet for a second, then let out a high-pitched, mocking laugh. Don't play games. We both know Sophie's your whole world. You can't live without her. I see right through you. Cut the act. Come get her and don't forget to bring the money. 30 grand. Not a penny less. Otherwise, you're not taking her anywhere. There was again. Money. He'd used this play before, twice. Got Sophie to move in, then dangled her over my head like bait. The first time he asked for 1,000. The second, 5. Both times I panicked. Both times I paid. No. He tripled his price like he thought he was running a damn auction. I said coldly, there's no money. And as for Sophie, you can keep her. I'm done. His voice jumped an octave. You can't just be done. She's your daughter. For the first time I heard panic in his tone. Real human panic. It made me laugh. Then I hung up without a word. Because I know exactly who John is. He's not a father. He never has been. To him, Sophie was never a person, just a pawn. A tool to manipulate me. A key to my bank account. And now that the key no longer fits, he doesn't even want her. But here's the truth. Sophie made her choice. He went back to him. So I let go. For real this time. I never expected them to find me, especially not on the 5th day and definitely not at the film set where I was about to take the biggest risk of my life. That morning, I had walked onto the lot with my heart in my throat and every cent I had ever saved sitting in my checking account. I was finally doing it. Investing in an independent film, not as someone's assistant or backstage help, but as a producer. For the first time, I wasn't betting on someone else's dream. I was betting on mine. And just as the contract was being signed, John and Sophie showed up like a damn storm. She stormed straight toward me, eyes locked on the paperwork in my hands like I was holding a weapon. "You blew all your money on this garbage," she screamed. That was enough for me to go to at least a dozen of Evan Hale's signings. "That money's mine. Give it back." That's when it hit me. My bank account alerts. Text messages that were still going to her phone. I'd set it up back when I thought transparency would ease her anxiety. I never imagined I was handing her a surveillance tool. The moment the funds cleared and the contract hit the table, she was already on her way. Before I could even stand up, she slapped me hard. "Michelle, give me my money." I grabbed her wrist, firm and unflinching, staring straight into her wild eyes. "You throw tens of thousands at these meet and greets just to exchange 5 meaningless words with someone who doesn't even know your name. Have you ever once stopped to think how hard I work for that money?" Her jaw clenched. She looked like a powder keg about to blow. "All you ever care about is your precious money. What about me? What about how I feel? Do you have any idea how painful it is not to see Evan? At least he gives me something, some emotional value. You waste everything on garbage shows that won't make a dime." She yanked her arm free and started swinging. Her fists slammed into my face again and again, each hit stinging with a raw, brutal ache that forced tears from my eyes. I choked out, "Have you ever once thought about my feelings? About what it feels like for me to hear this from my own daughter? I'm your mother. Just once, could you care about me?" She spat in my face. Literally. Her eyes were bloodshot, mouth curled in disgust. "You gave birth to me. That means you're stuck with me. And now you want me to care about you? You don't deserve it." John finally stepped in, arms crossed, voice icy. "She's right, Michelle. You're her mother. Supporting her is your duty. And you think you have the right to negotiate." Sophie swelled with confidence, feeding off his words like fuel. She lunged and wrapped her fingers around my throat. "Transfer it back. No. I want that money for the signing tickets. If I can't buy them, I swear I'll throw myself off the roof." I gave a bitter, breathless laugh. "That money is invested. It's to build something, create a return. Not to be flushed down another obsession." She shrieked, "What return? You're a delivery girl. You think you'll make it in Hollywood? Don't make me laugh. That money's gone. You'll never see it again." He hurled those words like daggers. But something inside me had already clicked into place. I was calm. For the first time in years, truly calm. My mind wasn't filled with panic or guilt. Instead, it was alive with something new. Resolve. This film is going to blow up. My investment's going to skyrocket. 10,000 today will be 10 million tomorrow. This is how I get out. I took a deep breath, peeled her hands off my neck and looked her dead in the eyes. "You want to jump? Go ahead. But you're not getting another cent from me. Not now. Not ever." She opened her mouth to respond, but John grabbed her arm before she could get the words out. He pointed a finger in my face, voice loud and theatrical. "Fine. You want to play hardball? Here it is. I'm keeping custody of Sophie. For good. And I'm sending her abroad for school. You'll never see her again. Ever." I didn't expect it, but on the 5th day they tracked me down at the film set. At the time I was standing at the edge of a cliff, emotionally and financially. I had poured every cent I'd saved into this indie film, taking the biggest gamble of my life. Not for a man. Not for a child. For me. I was stepping into the role of executive producer for the first time, staking my name and future on a low-budget project I believed in with every fiber of my being. But somehow John and Sophie had gotten wind of it and showed up the moment the ink was dry. Sophie stormed in, eyes locked on the contract in my hand like it was a murder weapon. "You spent everything on this trash?" she shrieked. "Do you know how many Evan Hale signings I could have gone to with that money? That was mine. Give it back." And then it hit me, my bank notification text. Still linked to her phone. What I'd once set up to reassure her had turned into a real-time surveillance tool over my finances. The money had barely landed in my account, the contract had just been signed, and there she was. He didn't hesitate. She slapped me across the face. "Michelle. Give me the damn money." I grabbed her wrist, staring hard at her. "You've blown tens of thousands on a man who doesn't even know your name. You spend without flinching. Did it ever cross your mind how hard I had to work to earn that money? She gritted her teeth like she might explode. It's always about your money, isn't it? Have you ever thought about how I feel? You think I don't hurt when I can't see Evan? At least he gives me something, emotional value. You're throwing money at a movie that'll make nothing. She ripped free and punched me again and again. My skin stung and tears involuntarily slid down my cheeks. I choked back a sob. And what about my feelings? Just once, can you try to care? I'm your mother. Could you think of me for once? She spat in my face. Her eyes were red with fury, twisted with contempt. You had me, so now you're stuck with me. And now you want me to care about you? Please. John stepped in, arms crossed, smug as ever. She's right, Michelle. You're her mother. You owe her. You think you get to draw lines now? Sophie doubled down. She grabbed my throat with both hands, hissing, "Give me the money now. I need to buy the signing tickets. If I can't, I swear I'll jump." I gave a bitter smile. That money is invested. It's to build a future, not to burn. She screamed, "What future? You're a delivery woman. You think Hollywood will take you seriously? You won't see a dime from this. Don't make me laugh." But I didn't flinch. Instead, a calm, clear conviction filled me. I was no longer the woman they could manipulate. This film is going to blow up. My investment will return tenfold. This is how I break free. I looked her dead in the eyes, voice level. Then jump. But from this moment on, I won't give you another cent. She lunged again, but John pulled her back. He jabbed a finger in my face. You know what, Michelle? Fine. Custody of Sophie? Never again. I'll take her overseas. You'll never see her again. Then he hesitated, and that smug grin crept back onto his face. Unless you get that money back. Let Sophie manage it. Then maybe we can talk. I laughed, quiet, bitter, guttural. So that's what this was about. All of this. The threats, the guilt trips, the screaming. It was just to get to this line. You two have been playing this push-pull game for years. You wore me down so well, I became a joke even my own daughter couldn't respect. I took a breath, exhaled it like poison. Well, it ends now. From this day forward, I'm done putting myself last. They exchanged a glance. And for a fleeting second, panic flickered in both their eyes. But Sophie masked it quickly with rage. Fine. Good for you. Enjoy your new life. I hope you're thrilled when I die starving or crying or falling off a roof. Hope you can sleep at night while Evan Hale forgets I exist. Congrats, Michelle. You've been reborn. I looked at her gently. Thank you. I truly will live better now. She froze. Like she suddenly saw that something was different. I turned to walk away. Behind me, her scream cracked the air. Take another step and I swear, I'll never call you Mom again. I'll live with Dad and Brenda forever. You think you can survive without us? I turned my head slowly. You're wrong, Sophie. You're the one who can't live without me. But me. I don't want you anymore. Silence. Then laughter. Wild, shrill, manic. She laughed like she was choking on her own disbelief, like I was some delusional joke. I didn't look back. I walked away. Less than a month later, the film exploded. We hit over 1 million views. Ad deals. Streaming contracts. Licensing talks. At the celebration dinner, Sophie barged in, with a crew of girls trailing behind her. Her presence iced over the entire room. Her first words weren't "Mom." They were a command. Looks like you hit the jackpot. Great. Cut the crap and transfer me your balance. I need to throw a real fan event for Evan Hale. Maybe take his cast out for dinner. One of her friends stepped up with a fake sweet tone. Mrs. Harris, come on. Sophie's been through a lot. She really needs this. As her mom, don't you want to see her happy? That voice came back, sharp and clear. Here she goes again, emotional blackmail. Don't let the money blur your memory. Don't forget what she's done. I stayed calm. How much do you need? Sophie crossed her arms, smug. If you don't want to embarrass us, make it nice. Dinner for the cast, proper event setup. Let's say 50 grand. Actually, just make it an even 100. So I don't have to keep asking. And in that moment I realized something terrifyingly simple. I felt nothing for her anymore. No anger. No sorrow. Just absurdity. I replied evenly, you do realize organizing an unauthorized fan event could legally qualify as harassment, right? It could create PR issues for Evan, and consequences for you. She snapped. She grabbed a limited edition designer bag I had given her years ago, one signed by Evan Hale himself, and hurled it at my face. The chain split my temple open. Blood streamed down my cheek. Only when she saw the blood staining the autograph did she freeze. She rushed to wipe it clean, her face contorted with panic. Not for me but for the ink. She could love, just not me. You bitch, she spat. You ruined it. You owe me. I didn't hesitate. I picked up my phone and dialed 911. They all started laughing, calling me dramatic, pathetic. Said I was playing victim. But the second the police cruiser pulled up, the laughter died. Sophie's face went rigid. You're actually having me arrested? I met her eyes, calm as stone. You assaulted me. In public. You threatened me and tried to extort money. What would you have me do? Her fists trembled. Tears welled up. I'm your daughter. Your real daughter. I smiled. And that smile, it was the final break. I already told you, Sophie. I don't want you anymore. She stood there stunned, her face drained of all color. The police encouraged me to settle privately. I ignored them. I went to the hospital. Filed an official report. Pressed charges. Sophie was detained for 72 hours. And for the first time in my life, I felt silence. Real, complete silence. I began investing in more projects. Bold concepts, razor-sharp targeting. Within 2 months, my earnings ballooned like a parade float. Every contract I signed returned dividends. Every risk I took turned to gold beneath my feet. There was no word from Sophie. Not a call. Not even a text. Until one quiet morning as I sat at my kitchen counter sipping coffee, her name popped up in a news alert. I looked up. On the TV screen, flashing red and blue lights lit up the early morning haze. The footage cut to an old apartment building where paramedics were wheeling someone out on a stretcher. It was Sophie. Her face was pale. Her body covered in visible bruises and scrapes. Right behind her in handcuffs was John, being shoved into a police car so furious he was nearly foaming at the mouth. He tried to lunge at her even as the officers held him back. What kind of curse did I live under to raise a daughter like you? He turned toward the camera, screaming. I worked hard for that money. That was mine. And you blew it, tens of thousands, just to chase some pop star who doesn't even know your name. $23,000. A truckload of gifts and he still doesn't know who you are. What have you ever given me? Even a card? Ever. A news ticker rolled across the bottom of the screen. Breaking. 19-year-old woman hospitalized after domestic assault over financial dispute. Police investigation ongoing. To the right of the screen, a clip from Sophie's livestream played on loop. Heavy makeup, a trembling voice, eyes brimming with tears. I was raised by my dad. My mom never cared about me. She's cold, heartless. She doesn't deserve to be called a mother. Then came the dramatic declaration. From now on, I only recognize my father. He's the only one I can rely on in this world. Seconds later, the screen lurched, her phone flying out of her hand, just as a scuffed leather shoe came crashing into her face, knocking her off the chair. The comments section erupted. Viewers froze in horror. That moment became the headline. Soon after, Evan Hale's management released a statement. Our company has not authorized any fan gift campaigns or third-party events. We strongly discourage excessive behavior. Please care for yourselves before trying to care for others. Online commentary was merciless. Blew her whole life chasing someone who doesn't even know she exists. Destroyed family, dignity, and got a face full of bruises for someone who gave her a one-sentence disclaimer. This is the price of blind obsession. I sat on the couch, staring into my cup of bitter black coffee, the screen's glow flickering across the wall. Then came that voice again, the one that had stayed with me through everything. Are you really just going to sit there and watch her spiral? Do you still believe she can change? Or is this another setup? I threw back the last gulp of coffee, so bitter it felt like razors down my throat, and grabbed my car keys. I drove to the hospital. When I stepped into her room, the first thing I noticed was her eyes, swollen and red like overripe peaches. She was still crying, tears trailing down her chin. She clutched her phone tightly, pressing the call button again and again. No answer. The more she tapped, the harder she cried, frantic, breathless sobs. Then suddenly, as if she could sense it, she looked up toward the door. Mom. She dropped the phone and reached out to me with both arms, like she was 6 years old again. But she didn't get up. She didn't run. She just sat there, arms hovering in the air, sobbing uncontrollably. I called you hundreds of times. Why didn't you pick up? Look at these bruises, he did this to me. Over just $23,000. He never hit me. He never even yelled at me. How could he? He doesn't love me. He never did. Her voice echoed around the room like a scream ricocheting off glass. And in my head that voice whispered again. Can you trust her? Or is this just a new script? Another ploy for sympathy? I didn't say anything. I just pulled a tissue and gently wiped her face. She kept sobbing, words spilling out like flood water. Their breakfast was inedible. Those cold, rock-hard sandwiches? Nothing like your bacon and egg melts. Their bed messed up my neck. The hot water takes forever. Everything's broken. Her fingers were ice cold as she clutched my arm. She tilted her head toward me, her voice softening. Mom, I'm not going back there. Keep fighting for custody, okay? I want to live with you. I didn't answer. The doctor said she was cleared for discharge. So I helped her change, then walked her down to the car. The moment she climbed into my new vehicle, her energy snapped back, almost fully charged. Her eyes lit up, scanning the leather seats and dashboard like she'd stumbled into a treasure chest. Mom, you really made it big, huh? Damn, this is insane. Who's gonna laugh at me now for not affording front row tickets to Evan's concert? Come on, give me the $23,000. I'll convert it all to cash and throw it in John's face. Let's see how he handles that. I didn't respond. I just started the engine. The entire drive she was buzzing, taking selfies, sending voice notes, laughing louder than the music. You guys, imagine Evan's face if I gift him a car like this for his birthday. He'll cry, I swear. Please, I'm a rich girl now. Only child of a power mom. A car? That's nothing. I got this. Don't believe his team's PR statements. Evan cares about me. He knows me. He just can't say it publicly, that's all. And as she kept going, I couldn't help but think back to a few years ago. She had crossed the line at a fan event, stalked his crew, showed up uninvited backstage. There was almost a lawsuit. I had gently urged her to slow down, to find balance. He slapped me hard. More than once. She'd screamed in my face. That was his stupid assistant messing everything up. Evan would never do this to me. He understands me. He's on my side forever. But we both knew the truth. The cease and desist letters, the event bans, the corporate statements. All of them bore one signature at the bottom. Evan Hale. I gripped the wheel tighter. Pushed the gas just a little harder. The car turned down a gravel road, dust rising behind us. Sophie stirred awake, her brows knitting as she looked around. She rubbed her eyes, stared at the worn-out fence and the sloped wooden roof ahead. Wait, is this Grandma and Grandpa's place? Why are we here? Before I could answer, she plugged her nose in dramatic disgust. She always hated this place. Complained the air smelled weird, the Wi-Fi was slow, there were no theaters, no cafes. Worse, she'd always been convinced my parents didn't like her. Which, to be fair, wasn't entirely untrue. I hadn't brought her back here in years. But today I parked right in front of their porch. They were already standing there, smiling wide, waving like it was Christmas morning. The wrinkles on their faces deepened with joy. Get out, I said quietly. He gave me a wary look. Aren't you coming? I met her eyes. Sophie, from now on, this is your home. She didn't move. Just stared at me like I'd slapped her across the face. I put the car in reverse. She bolted out behind me, barefoot, chasing after the vehicle like a child who'd just lost her balloon. But she didn't scream. She didn't curse. She didn't threaten. He just cried. One shoe flew off. Her knee hit the gravel hard. Blood smeared down her leg. Her hair clung to her cheeks, wet, messy, and tangled. Every strand seemed to scream for the pride she no longer had. I saw all of it in the rearview mirror. My knuckles locked white on the steering wheel. I nearly stopped. Nearly. But that voice, the one that had never failed me, whispered again. She's not afraid of losing you. She's afraid of losing her lifestyle. The city. The perks. The money. The fan events. The attention. That girl needs to be removed from everything she used to control. Only then will she have room to reflect. It sliced through my hesitation like a blade. I hit the gas and didn't look back. But the next day the messages started pouring in again. First came the flowers, 3 full bouquets delivered to my door. Then food deliveries one after another, all labeled Mom's favorite. And then the radio. A local station played Mama Said, and the DJ read aloud a letter Sophie had written to my mother. Her voice in the letter was soft, regretful, heartbreakingly sweet. Listeners were moved to tears. The comments flooded in. No fight is bigger than a mother's love. She's just a child and she's sorry. Go get her, Mama. She's learned her lesson. Let this be a new beginning. To be honest, a part of me did start to hope. Maybe, just maybe, she had grown up. Maybe she finally understood what regret felt like. I'm not made of stone. I'm not some saint immune to my own child's voice. Even the tiniest sliver of hope, 1 in 1,000, I couldn't help but want to reach for it. I'll admit it, I was tempted. I wrestled with myself for days before making a deal with my own heart. If the letter really came from her, then fine, I'd go back, bring her home and try again. But if it didn't, then this time it would really be the end. I opened my laptop and typed the letter, word for word, into a search engine. Took 2 seconds to kill the fantasy. The letter was written by Sophie. But it wasn't addressed to me. It was to Evan Hale, her idol. The post had gone viral in fan circles months ago, even featured on curated lists for best fan tributes. All she'd done was change the title to A Letter to My Mom, and recycle the same lines. Her so-called heartfelt apology? A repurposed love note to a pop star. I stared at the screen and laughed, quiet, bitter, then sharper than I meant to. Then I slapped myself across the face. Hard. To knock out the last foolish dream clinging to the edges of my heart. But Sophie didn't stop her performance. She doubled down. Every day she posted new videos with titles like, I just want to make peace with my mom. Gone was the smugness. She now spoke in a soft, trembling voice. Each clip ended with a deep bow. Her comments overflowed with praise. What a mature, kind-hearted daughter. She's done so much. How can her mom still say no? Then came the real theatrics. She filmed herself cutting up years' worth of celebrity merch, signed photos, rare collectibles, concert memorabilia, all tossed into a fire pit. Through tears, she looked straight into the lens and whispered, I'm done chasing stars. The only person I admire now is my mom. I believe in her. I love her. She's my only light. And the crowd ate it up. Then someone leaked my address. Suddenly, neighbors started showing up, dropping off notes, knocking on my door. You should feel lucky. Do you know how many parents would kill to have a kid come back and say sorry? One day you'll miss the time you spent together. Don't wait until it's too late to forgive. I didn't argue. I just smiled. A sharp, hollow smile, even I could hear the sarcasm in. In the end, cornered by everyone's well-meaning advice, I nodded. I agreed to attend Sophie's birthday party. The whole thing was live-streamed. She had built a decent following online. Not massive but loyal. Even before the stream began, the view count was climbing past 10,000. The chat scrolled fast. Is her mom coming? This is gonna be a beautiful reunion. A birthday to remember. I stepped into frame holding a small box. Sophie stood at the far end of a glass skybridge. She saw me across the corridor and whispered into her mic, voice quivering. Well, you came. I missed you so much. The audience erupted. Go to her. Hug your mom. I didn't move. Instead, I slowly opened the box in my hands. The moment she saw it, she screamed, an instinctive, unfiltered squeal. That's Evan Hale's mystery birthday collector's box. Oh my God. I flipped to the first page of the photo booklet. She screamed again. It's signed, it's the TO signature. The personal one. I looked her in the eyes and asked, I had this arranged especially for you. As a birthday gift. Do you like it? She nodded frantically, her eyes sparkling like a kid in a candy store. I smiled back at her. Then, without breaking eye contact, ripped the signed page clean in half. She lost it. What the hell is wrong with you, you crazy witch? The room fell dead silent. Even the chat froze. Then came the whispers. Didn't she say she gave up on standing? One autograph and she cracked. Was it all just for show? But Sophie didn't hear any of it. She was locked in on that torn piece of paper like it was her lifeline. I tossed the photo book into the center of the glass walkway. She cursed and ran for it. The moment her foot hit the bridge, frick, the glass fractured. I stepped back on reflex. She saw me, just a flash of my face through the shards, and in that instant she yanked a metal object from her pocket and hurled it at me. It missed. He didn't. The floor gave way. She plunged 3 stories. The ambulance arrived in minutes. The doctors said it was unlikely she'd walk again. And I became public enemy number 1. Social media went feral. Heartless mother. Rotten loneliness. No wonder the daughter snapped. But less than 24 hours later, the police released the full report. And suddenly the story wasn't so simple anymore. That glass bridge? It was never part of the original building. Sophie had paid to have it installed herself. She never intended to walk across it. That bridge was built for me, a stage designed for one final performance. When the police dug into her recent search history, it hit like a punch to the gut. Her most frequent queries? How to make an accident look unintentional. Legal inheritance process for direct family members. Her conclusion was horrifyingly simple. I had to die. The whole birthday reunion livestream had been the setup. The sky bridge? She wasn't hoping for closure. She was orchestrating an alibi. Once the truth came out, even her fans went silent. People started combing through her tear-soaked apology videos. Some of her most moving lines? Word for word copy-pasted from old fan letters she'd written to Evan Hale. Turns out the only thing she might have ever truly written for me was a single word. As for Sophie's legs, there was no saving them. The doctors were gentle in their delivery, but the meaning was blunt. Multiple compound fractures, severe nerve damage. Even with reconstruction, she'd never walk again. I thought maybe, just maybe, this would be her moment of silence. Of clarity. Of truth. But the first words out of her mouth when she regained consciousness? Did she die? Please tell me she died. Isn't me. I stood at the end of the corridor, staring through the window into her room, listening. She was already on the phone with her friends, strategizing how to frame the live stream. How to edit the footage. How to control the narrative. How to spin it into a rebirth storyline for her big comeback. I stood there frozen. Hollow. The doctor beside me asked, "Are you her mother?" I nodded. "We recommend she enter long-term rehabilitation as soon as she's discharged. A professional care facility would be best, for both her physical and emotional recovery." I agreed. Not out of pity but out of duty. Because as much as I no longer believed in her, I still refused to be the kind of mother who abandoned her child completely. I chose a private rehabilitation center just outside the city. Quiet, well-staffed, clean. Full-time nurses. Licensed therapists. Around-the-clock care. I paid for an entire year in full. The paperwork was clear, the receipts filed neatly. In the emergency contact field, I wrote down my lawyer's information. My own name? Left blank. When the day came to move her, Sophie didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just stared out the window in silence. We didn't speak. Only as I turned to leave did I hand her a letter. It wasn't long, just a few lines. "I've arranged everything. You'll have food, care, and comfort. From this day on, we won't see each other again. What I've given you is a chance, not permission. You can use the rest of your life to decide what kind of person you truly want to be. If one day you change, not for an audience, not for a camera, but from somewhere real inside you, you'll know how to find me. If that day never comes, let's both pretend I never existed." She opened the envelope as I walked away. The wind was strong that afternoon. I stood in the parking lot watching the sky turn pale, and for the first time in years I felt light. I've never once regretted being her mother. But I finally understood. Motherhood is not a bottomless pit. It's not a punishment or a transaction to redeem someone else's cruelty. I don't owe her anything. And I won't spend another day paying for her mistakes. That night back at home I turned off my phone. I left the TV dark. The whole house was still. And for the first time, silence didn't feel empty. No one called me mom. No one said my name. But I was still here. Carried. Unburdened. Whole. And that was enough. My name is Sophie Carter. I'm 19 years old. And I've been stuck in this hellhole for 37 days. They call it a rehabilitation center. They call me a patient. But I know the truth. Every single one of them wants to break me. I sit here in this damn wheelchair, my legs nothing more than electrified dead weight. Numb from bone to skin. The doctors say I'm lucky to be alive. They're lying. All of them. That woman, my mother, she's the only one who really won. Don't get me wrong. I'm not crazy. I've just been trying to take back what was rightfully mine. She's owed me since the day she brought me into this world without asking, and then refused, time and time again, to sacrifice even the smallest piece of herself for me. The nurses here look at me like I'm some tragic soap opera heiress. They call me Miss Carter with that awful fake cheer, but I see through it. Their eyes drip with pity and disgust. And I hate both. They think I don't know. They whisper about me behind my back, call me spoiled, a train wreck, pathetic and poisonous. I'm not pathetic. I just didn't win. Everything was planned, perfectly. The bridge's weight capacity. The hammer's swing trajectory. The erratic emotional setup. Even the legal positioning of the will. All I needed was for her to take one step toward me. Just one. Like she always claimed she would if I ever needed her. If she had, it all would have been ruled a tragic accident. Plain, inheritable. But she didn't. She never really loved me. I've always been her stain, her mistake, her burden. Now she's finally cut me loose and she's free. And I'm locked inside this new version of hell. A prison with ramps and padded walls and morning nurse check-ins. But my world is red carpets. My world is spotlight. My world is fans screaming my name. My world is speeding through the city in a luxury car, throwing limited edition photo books at people's faces during my birthday stream. This is not my world. The next morning, a nurse named Linda walked in. That tight plastic smile on her face. The kind everyone's supposed to wear at 8 a.m. Good morning, Miss Carter. Time for physical therapy. Get out. I hurled a pillow at her. She blinked, then calmly said, if you continue to refuse cooperation, we'll have to involve your therapist. You people love labels, don't you? I'm not crazy. I just fell. I stared at her plastic, polished face. Everything about her made me want to retch. She offered to help me wash, dress, move, but it all just made my skin crawl. I turned my face toward the window again. Outside, a garden trimmed to perfection. A neatly planted prison. I can't even remember the last time my mom said my name out loud. When the ambulance took me away, she stood at a distance. I thought I'd see triumph on her face. Instead, her eyes were strange. Unreadable. I waited for her to visit. Just once. She never came. They say she showed up once with her lawyer. Signed some paperwork. Made it all official. Guardianship, oversight, financial coverage. How generous. Her version of caring is paying someone else to lock me up in a luxury dumpster. But I'm not planning to rot here forever. I'm not the kind of girl who stays down. I started writing. Documenting every detail of this nightmare. Not for nostalgia but for strategy. One day I'll publish a book. I'll tell the world how I was betrayed, how I lost my legs, how I clawed my way back. Of course I'll tweak the details. I'll become the innocent girl misled by love. She'll be the heartless nouveau riche mother who left me to die. People eat up pain. But they worship a comeback. And when I'm back, I'll be bigger than every woman out there writing think pieces and giving interviews about female empowerment. And when she shows up here someday, thinking we're ready for some bittersweet reunion, I'll have Linda greet her at the door and say, I'm sorry, Miss Carter doesn't take visitors. Especially not irrelevant ones.